in a monumentally stupid mistake. Like, this is categorically catastrophic for the US Treasury for them to do this. Everybody around the world who is not a very close ally of the US government is saying, shit, I don't think I want to own these treasuries. What the point of all of it is that it allows the US Treasury to continue the charade that we've been talking about, which is debasing the US dollar with inflation and finding people who will buy it because it's inflating at a lower rate than other people's currencies.
You know, Russia or China or whatever. I mean, look what they're doing. They're talking about Bitcoin. They've been talking about Bitcoin for years now. So if you want to know where the signal is, look at what the people that want to take you down are doing.
You opted out of the broken financial system by adopting Bitcoin and taking self-custody of your money. But protecting your wealth is only part of the equation. Now it's time to protect your freedom. My family is stacking sats and stacking flags. A second passport is our hedge against government overreach and uncertainty. If you're a Bitcoiner looking for your exit strategy, our friends at Citizen X will help you secure second citizenship through investment or descent. Book your free call today by hitting the link in the show notes or simply scanning the QR code on the screen. Let me break this down for my fellow Bitcoiners. In just 8 weeks, I've seen a serious shift. More strength, more energy, and fast muscle gains. The reason? FITSCRIPT. They ran 124 biomarkers, blood, hormones, inflammation, and built a fully custom plan, nutrition, training, supplements. No guesswork, no templates. This is functional medicine meets precision fitness for high-performing men who want sovereignty over their health. If you care about optimization the way you care about your money, test, don't guess. Don't trust, verify. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to check out FITSCRIPT and see what's possible. I want to play this clip. This is out of Russia, September 6th. So they're chatting about how they believe the U.S. plans to handle its debt situation. And I'll kind of, it's muted, but it says the U.S. is now trying to rewrite the rules of gold and cryptocurrency, or with gold and cryptocurrency markets. Remember the size of their debt, 35 trillion. That's 37 now. But these two sectors, crypto and gold, are essentially alternatives to traditional global finance. Washington's actions in this area highlight its main goals, and those are to urgently address the declining trust in the dollar. As in the 30s and the 70s, the U.S. plans to solve its financial problems at the world's expense. This time by pushing everyone into the crypto cloud. I hate that terminology. Over time, once part of the U.S. national debt is placed in stablecoins, Washington will devalue that debt. Put simply, they have 35 trillion currency debt. They'll move it into the crypto cloud, devalue it, and start from scratch. And yeah, that's the reality for those enthusiastic about crypto. Now, I'm curious, again, the terminology there, pretty bad, but overall, I'm wondering if this stablecoin play, this Genius Act, this, having well-regulated and approved stablecoin issuers that, one, not only make US dollars accessible to pretty much everyone on a global scale. So if you have a crap local currency, you can utilize it as an individual, as a business, as whatever, as a reserve asset potentially. Does that help them? And furthermore, the stablecoin issues, what do they do when they get the actual dollars? They buy treasuries. So is this a play? Is this a kick the can down the road moment?
Look, I was in Washington a little over a year and a half ago, and we were talking to congressional aides and congressmen, senators, Senate aides about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and just trying to educate them a little bit about, what they are and why they're so important. And we got into one of my local senators' offices, and the aide was like, "Oh yeah, we met with Tether. We know how important this is. We understand how critical it is for us to embrace stable coins because of the U.S. Treasury." So they got it. This is a long time ago, and they already get it. So what does a Genius Bill do? Well, it allows for stable coins to be issued by these major banks under strict rules and regulations of the government, with very strict audit capability and all that. So no longer do you have tethers just saying, well, we buy what we buy, just trust us. It's going to be like Circle, with Circle's like the gold standard for the audit of the underlying holdings of these stable coins. But what are they? For the listeners who don't know, a stable coin is it's a cryptocurrency that is pegged to something, anything. It could be pegged to gold, it could be pegged to copper, it could be pegged to rupee, whatever you want. But by and large, the vast majority of them are pegged to dollars, US dollars. And so why is this important? Well, it's important because exactly what you said, Ben, is that you can have access to an exchange that offers stable coins, Tether or Circle or something else, a USDC or something else, but if it's pegged to the US dollar, then you can effectively get dollars without actually having dollars because it's pegged to it. It's pegged to the US dollar. So now, if you want to hold your money in dollars rather than your local currency, if you're in Venezuela or Argentina or Egypt or somewhere where you have very high inflation, then you can hold it there and be pegged to the dollar and kind of protect your hard-earned money, currency, whatever, assets. Now, of course, we know the dollar is debasing, so it's not great, but it's debasing at a lower rate than most everything else. Then what do the stablecoin issuers do? They turn around and take that currency that they've been that's been subscribed or bought with. They create the stable coin and they go and buy US dollars and US treasuries. And so what the point of all of it is that it allows the US Treasury to find pockets of liquidity for treasuries, for US Treasury sales that they didn't have before. And there's a billion people across the world who are unbanked. If they're able to go and buy US dollars, then they're effectively pushing them into US Treasuries. It's another avenue to get people to buy treasuries. So was that Russian minister wrong about the U.S. pushing treasuries into the cloud and just revalue them? Yeah, they're not doing that. But what they are doing is they're finding pockets of liquidity to continue the charade that we've been talking about, which is debasing the U.S. dollar with inflation and finding people who will buy it because it's inflating at a lower rate than other people's currencies. It's effectively sucking the currency from foreign fiat creators, and it's just the playbook that Brent Johnson had laid out years and years ago with the dollar milkshake theory. And they're just using a long straw and sucking currency. They're sucking the money out of other fiats, and it's just going to end up in the dollar and end up in U.S. Treasuries, and that's kind of the playbook.
Brandon, I'll let you chime in if you have anything.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, James laid it out really well. It's number one. You look at what and again, it's the U.S.'s enemies. So again, who's to say who your enemies and who your friends are in this world? But again, when it's Russia or China or whatever, I mean, look what they're doing, and I'll throw it to the altcoin stuff or anything else out there. It's like, are they talking about some altcoin? No, they're talking about Bitcoin. They've been talking about Bitcoin for years now. That's what they are focused on. So if you want to know where the signal is, look at what the people that want to take you down, at least quote unquote, are doing. That also will help you find some signal within noise. So I want to mention that really quick. But also, we're talking about the CIA, creating Bitcoin. A lot of people are like, oh, the CIA created Bitcoin, the government created Bitcoin and stuff like that. It's just there to absorb the liquidity, so there's not like the shock in the market. And people, it's like, you'd think you want to be in on that trade then, right? Like if the CIA created, you'd think you'd want some of that. So you're there to ride the wave as it's absorbing all the liquidity over the next 10 or 20 years, whether they created it or not. And that's the beauty of it. And oh, by the way, they can't control it. So the argument falls apart somewhere because no one can control it. CIA created it. It's there to absorb the liquidity and to be this like fail safe, you know, like so you're going down the mountain in a truck and it's like the ramp that you have to go off on to like save yourself. And that's their escape valve. And they created it. And it's like, okay, so it's there for you to take, but you're not going to take it. And then at the same time, they can't control it. So again, just some things to note. James hit the nail on the head when it comes to some of the specifics, but I just wanted to mention some of those other things out there, those extraneous things that are kind of attached to this this whole argument.
Yeah, remember how stupid we were back when Russia invaded Ukraine, and we turned around and we seized their assets. We seized their U.S. treasuries and we kicked them off SWIFT. What do you think Russia wants to do? And that's when you hear people talk about BRICS and creating their own currency, they're not going to be able to create their own currency, but what they're going to do is get away from the US dollar and US Treasury. Who wants to own US Treasuries when the government, in a monumentally stupid mistake, like this is categorically catastrophic for the US Treasury for them to do this, because they just signaled to the world that, hey, if we don't like what you do, we're gonna seize the treasuries that you have and we're gonna kick you off SWIFT. And then the Treasury's sitting there going, wait, we need them to buy the treasuries. Like we need buyers of treasuries, or we can't facilitate this idiocy out of Congress of this endless spending, which is the whole point of the Treasury. They're there to facilitate the idiocy. Congress is there to get reelected, so just spend as much money as they need to. And then you've got Biden that turns around and cuts them off the SWIFT network, takes their treasuries, and everybody around the world who is not a very close ally of the U.S. government is saying, oh, shit, I don't think I want to own these treasuries. So they're looking for pockets of where to, like, so they're buying gold. You know, it's not the U.S. playing with it. That's exactly what's happened. So we paint ourselves into this corner very, very eloquently. I mean, I couldn't have come up scripted a better way to do it. Like, how stupid was that? So, and here we are.
Now, I did want to touch on one other thing in the stablecoin vein. And yes, we're talking about stablecoins. People deposit dollars with the issuers, and then the issuers give them the pegged tokens that they can then use freely. And then the issuers will go and buy treasuries. Well, the treasuries have a coupon, of course. And then they are paid the corresponding interest rate. The interesting thing is what somebody like Tether is doing with the proceeds. They're buying Bitcoin and they're building a Bitcoin treasury. Now,
that has nothing to do with the actual pegged stablecoin. That has to do with their own treasury for their company, exactly, with a few hundred employees making billions of dollars a year. It's mind blowing how like the per capita revenue of that company is mind blowing. But yeah, go ahead.
So this again, I tend to look at the stablecoin play as a kick the can down the road moment, but correspondingly, could it also be an accelerationist moment in that the people that are buying the treasuries are mostly excited about the coupon that they can then stack sats with?
Well, okay, stablecoins, the bill prevents the stablecoin issuers from passing on the interest to the buyers.
Well, not to the buyers, but to the as an entity.
Entity, sure, of course, yeah. That makes perfect sense for them to do that. And they are doing it. I haven't spoken to Circle Management, you know, but of course they're looking for ways to maximize their own treasury, and that would make sense to me, and I would expect that to happen over time, you know. But it is worth noting that these banks, it's insidious that they backdoored this, you know, regulation into the Genius Act, where they're not allowed to pay out interest on these pegged stable coins. Yeah. Wow. Why? Because they're worried it's going to hurt the deposits and, you know, in their banking system, and that'll hurt their ratios. And so they can't have that. So they don't want to. So now they've got a way to issue stable coins and turn around and reap the profits themselves instead of passing them on to the consumers that are actually buying and taking the risk of those treasuries by having a stable coin.
It's similar-ish in a way, I would imagine, to what Sailor is doing, right? It's a flywheel that how does it end? Where does it stop? I guess what Tether is doing, to your point, Ben, of like they just keep, you're just, okay, I'm taking this fiat and I'm just now putting it back into Bitcoin, and then I'm just repeating the process.
Yeah, they're arbitraging it. Yeah, for sure, they're arbitraging it. It's just a question of how much. We don't get to audit Tether, so we don't know how much. We can hear what they say, but we don't know for sure. Yeah, don't forget Tether was a key part of the launch of 21. Jack Mahler's company with CEP with Cantor Fitzgerald. So they know they're very well aware of the power of the Bitcoin treasury play. So.
Hey, you. Yes, you watching the Bitcoin price movements and the latest exciting news. It's awesome to stay informed, but the real power of Bitcoin comes from taking control. Don't just watch, take action. Head over to btcsessions.ca/learn for free step-by-step tutorials that guide you through every major skill you need to know, plus full video playlists for deeper dives on any topic you like. And if you're ready for the ultimate fast track, scroll to the bottom and check out bitcoinmentor.io for premium one-on-one experience with my team of Bitcoin experts to ensure you get it right the first time. Don't wait. Secure your Bitcoin future today. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code on the screen.